Namo Shakyamunaye Buddhaya. Respected teacher, dear Venerables, dear lay friends, dear community. Today is the 7th of December in the year 2015. We are present here during our weekend practice at Magnolia Monastery. I think that this meditation hall, when we are completely filled on the weekends, that would be the accomplishing Thai's dream. I heard the brothers share with me that when they first arrived here, Thai already entrusted to the monastics that this would be the area where we would train monastics. 150 realized arahats. Tall order. This dream, I wonder if we're able to realize in this lifetime or not, but for sure we will realize it. I have a lot of impressions coming here. The first impression I have is that every time I come here, I see the change. Beautiful changes. From our material resources to the spiritual essence. This is a reality. This is not just flattery. What do we have to offer as flattery as monastics? But clearly, maybe you don't see anything strange when you come here on the weekend, but for me, when I come here, I have a lot of impressions and I learn a lot from this place. So I'm very grateful for everyone here, our lay friends who have helped to establish this center, to give me a chance to come here and to allow our Deer Park monks to come visit and practice with you in a very warm and cozy atmosphere. The first impression that I had maybe 10 years ago. The last time I came here was about 10 years ago. I stayed in where the current men's dormitory is, and when I entered it, I saw a book. There was a Dharma Pada book that Thai translated, and these are stanzas that Thai translated, but he didn't stick to the classical Chinese style, but he translated it into Vietnamese, which was much more easier for us to understand. In our times, it's very easy to publish books. Back in the old days, people had to carve in bamboo into copper. So now it's because it's so easy to publish books. It's easy to expand on the meaning of the teachings of the Buddha so people can understand and practice. And from this, I asked the monastics here if I could have a copy, and I brought it back to Deer Park. And even after many years, I feel the treasures are still endless. So that is what I have learned from my time being here. That's my first impression. The second impression is the brothers had the middle length discourses of the Buddha. and I dug up all of the books in the brothers' library. And everywhere I go and I see a shelf of books, I think it is beautiful. It had many beautiful books, and I joined my palms and I bowed to the books. Here we normally just put them on display, but wherever there are books, and that means that people have wisdom, because we have respect for books, and for sure we will have wisdom. In the secular world, we have if a family can progress in many generations, then first of all, they need to have the elderly. If you see do you know this term, uya? It means there is someone who is an elderly person who nourishes the younger generation. And in that family, if you have an elderly person, then it shows that wisdom is possible. That is a wholesome thing, and we are able to establish morality. Secondly, when we enter a house and we see that there are books just strewn everywhere on the table, on the beds, then we know that this family has culture. And you can read anywhere you are. And if you go to a house where there is just young people, because they look down upon the elderly and they shoo the elderly away, then we see that that is a failure in moral ethics. And if we go somewhere and we see that there are books that are put away in a cabinet with glass, then you can see that this is just decorative. People don't really read these books. So that's what I see at a first glance. So I dug up the books in the brothers' library, and I saw the middle length sutras, discourses, and there's a sutra in there that I found that was very relatable to our everyday life. One day after the rains retreat, the elder bhikshus came to the Buddha and asked the Buddha permission to go teach the Dharma. And the Buddha said one sentence: "Dear monks, you are elderly monks. You know what needs to be done. I wish you a lot of peace on your spiritual path." So then Shariputra went and he prepared his luggage. I say luggage so it sounds cool, but actually monks in the old days didn't have luggages like we have these days. They didn't have laptops, phones. Their simple lifestyle comprised of just 3 Sangati robes and a begging bowl and a razor to shave their head. And do you know what is the most special prized possession that monks needed to have? That was their begging bowl, their cushion. That's not enough. Nobody knows? The most prized possession that you needed to always have is a small pouch of salt. That was the most precious thing. This sounds ridiculous. It sounds funny when we look at it from a modern lens. The first person who started this revolution was to go down to the ocean and get salt to demand independence for India to be independent. So Gandhi. So when we read the biography of Gandhi, Mahatma Gandhi, I saw that his great revolution, and coming back to the Buddha's time, we just needed a little bit of salt in a little bamboo container. So the monk's life was very simple. And yet that was the most prized possession. Why? Because when we go on alms rounds, oftentimes the food was bland. So no matter what food that was offered, whether it was banana, sweet rice. So after preparing his baggage to leave, there was one monk that came to the Buddha and said, Venerable monk, Venerable Shariputra, he wants to go teach, but he's not that great. He dared to offend me. Now he's running away. And the Buddha said, oh really? Really? That happened? Okay. Ananda, please call all of our monks, invite them here so we can verify this. That this monk claims that Venerable Shariputra offended him, and so Venerable Ananda rang the bell and invited all of the monks to assemble the next morning to listen to the lion's roar of Shariputra in response to this claim that he offended this monk. So we always have to have everybody in both parties present. And so this monk said, he humiliated me, he offended me, he hurt me, he harmed me. And then now he's trying to run away under the guise of going to teach the Dharma. So the Buddha asked Shariputra, Venerable Shariputra, is that true? That you slandered him, that you defamed him? And so the Venerable Shariputra said, Dear Buddha, from the day that I learned the Dharma from you, I only practiced awareness of the body. My mind is as soft and fertile as the earth. My mind is as light as the wind, as the skies. As gentle as a buffalo, a water buffalo whose horns have already been sawn off. All of that. So there's many different images that he offered, but it boils down to say that he was firmly established in the spiritual practice. And if we dump onto the earth a lot of toxins and defiled elements, the earth still receives everything without discrimination. The earth doesn't say, hey, I'm not going to transform any of this junk that you're dumping on me. So in the same spirit, my mind is filled with a kind of flexibility and softness, like the wind. And I clear all of the defilements in my mind. If I don't practice mindfulness of the body in the body, how can I? Then that would be when I could do what the other monk said, just to defame him or to humiliate him. But because I embody the mindfulness, observation of the body in the body, there's no way that I could harm anybody. I just have one thing. When I walk, I try to walk in a humble way. All this is to say, there were maybe 7 or 9 more examples. We can look back in the chapter of the lion's roar in the middle length discourses. So we're invited to look at this chapter ourselves directly. So what does it mean? When we practice mindfulness, when we practice observation of the body in the body, we can also become as great as the Venerable Shariputra. It is very simple. Because our minds are not busy with looking to and fro. We're not worried about other people's businesses, if they're nice or not to us. We always look inwards to our own reactions to things. Whether we are upset, whether we lack peace, whether we react, all of this is because we are so obsessed with what other people have thrown at us. But if we practice, then we think, well, that's other people's businesses. That's somebody else's business. All we need to do is take care of our own reactions. For example, if you curse me, I can't try to cover your mouth. You have your mouth, you have your thoughts, you have your past memories of me, so you have a right to say what you need to say. But I also have my own entitled right, which is to be in charge of how I react with you. Do I want to react with an eye for an eye? If you slap me once, I slap you also. If you slap me on the left side, I slap you on the right side. We think that it's an eye for an eye. That's natural, right? But for a practitioner, that doesn't happen. Why? Because when somebody dumps their suffering and tries to humiliate and slander us, a practitioner's job is to look at, how am I reacting to this? If we react with bitterness, with anger, with rage, the first thing that happens that is very easy to understand is that when these mental formations are present, then we are the first one who are wounded, heavily wounded in our body. That's not enough. And all of the things that happen to us, if we allow conflicts to happen in our mind, we are not just allowing ourselves to be hurt in our minds, but also in our body. Have you heard of this term, which is that sometimes people are so filled with so much vengeance that their blood is boiling? So of course, the first thing is when we react with these strong emotions, then our body, our physical body, has physical ailments that come from that. That is a kind of drinking poison for our body. And imagine our lifespan. If our natural lifespan is 100 years, but every single time we give rise to rage, just 10 days. It's like each rage takes away 10 days of our lifespan. And think about that. In your entire lifespan, how many years have you cut away from your life due to rage? Our lifespan will not be harassed by rage and anger if we practice mindfulness. Otherwise, we can easily have a stroke because our blood vessels are constricted, and then we lose the bodily functions of our body because we have driven our body to overdrive so much with our emotions. I have met a number of lay friends who have told me, "Dear Venerable, the first lesson I learned from you that I wasn't able to apply your teachings, and I almost died." And so I asked her, what did you learn? And she said that you offered very relatable teachings, and you told me that poisons are not far. They are right in front of you. You can drink the poisons. When you fly into a rage, when you are incensed, you don't realize it, but you are drinking poison. Every single time we give rise to rage, to misery, that is a kind of drinking poison. And luckily, she didn't lose her life. She was able to realize. But if you drink a lot of poison, you will easily lose your life. And one day, one of my children came home, and I was very upset at my child. And I was so upset. And then suddenly, I fell over. And then I had a kind of mini stroke. I fell over and I had foam at my mouth, and my husband had to drive me to the hospital, and it took 3 years for me to recover. And I was in the hospital for many days, and then my husband had to take me from the hospital. He had to sneak me out of the hospital, and then he found a physician who could press my acupuncture points, which helped me to have my blood circulation. Back then, I didn't take her teaching seriously, but after this experience, I realized, wow, that is a gift that you have offered. So now we come back to how when we practice observation of the body in the body, how that is miraculous. We always observe our body, whether we're standing, walking, sitting, lying down, whether we, no matter what bodily position we are encountering. We always make our mind bright to shine onto our body. And then we can realize something, which is that we can also shine light onto our emotions. When somebody tries to humiliate us or slander us, to offend us. Otherwise, if we don't practice this, then we are no different from each other. What, you wanna offend me? I will offend you. What, you wanna say this horrible thing to me? I will return it with 2 additional horrible things. So whenever if people don't know how to practice mindfulness, then we have to practice double. Every time we give rise to anger, we know that we are just destroying our own health and our life. So we need to practice, buckle down and practice. But many people don't know how to practice mindfulness. So all we need to do is to focus on mindfulness of the body in the body, and that's enough for us to enter the realms of profound samadhi, profound concentration. And from this can help us to realize higher states of enlightenment, so that we can rise above our mundane everyday suffering of being sad and upset. There is no other teaching that is higher than observation of the body in the body, that can help us to put away all of our unease and our emotions of unrest, and can help us to dwell peacefully in the here and the now and taste the fruits of taste joy and happiness. And that is a gift that is offered to us. When we enter the practice, we can then have confidence, full confidence in the Buddha's teachings. Otherwise, we will think, oh, this has nothing to do with me. And when we wait for the teachings to stick with us, that is when we give rise to anger. and it makes us foam at our mouth, and we don't even know if we can save our own life or not. If you are thirsty and then you wait until you're thirsty in order to dig a well, then you might die already before you can reach the water. And then we lose our life. So let us truly love ourselves right now, starting from now. The second thing we learn from this mindfulness, observation of the body is we don't need to waste money in order to learn this. Why? Because you already have this body. Who doesn't have a body? We can forget everything. Even with an old car, you can forget the car key inside the car, but no matter where you go, whether you're sitting, walking, standing, or in movements, you can never forget your body. Everywhere you go, your body is there. Your body is always with you. So, observation of the body, it means your mind is always present. Your mind is always observing your body. When your mind follows your body, no matter what position your body is in, standing, walking, sitting, lying down, etc., the Buddha taught, if a monastic knows how to dwell in the practice as observation in the body, when we sit, stand, walk, lie down, whether you are extending your arm, whether you are blinking, no matter what position your body is in, what happens to your body, whether it is subtle, whether it is obvious, you always are observing your body. From this, we can enter the 4 fruits of realization, even becoming a Buddha all on your own, without assistance. So we don't need anything other than this body and awareness. A more subtle aspect is that when you have this body, if we are walking on this earth, what do you have? You have this vibrant mind which is observing your body and knows if your body is walking, sitting, lying down. But if we don't practice awareness, then our body is one spot and your mind is in another spot, and your mind is always roaming about. You're sitting here, but your mind is in California and Deer Park Monastery. Who knows where my mind is? It looks like we are sitting like holy venerables, but actually maybe I'm thinking, did anybody open my door? Did I turn off the heater in my room yet, etc.? Who knows? Who can know? So the difference between being holy or being unholy is just a tiny difference from our mind. So we need to drag our wandering mind back to our body so we can allow our mind to be aware of our body. That is the definition of a practitioner. That is called walking on the holy path. So it's what? It sounds like being holy is as easy as eating cake. So all we need to do is to drag our mind back to our body. If we drink tea, then our mind is drinking tea with our body. If we're eating or winking or blinking or sitting, our mind is always there with us. That is the definition of a practitioner. Being a practitioner doesn't mean that you have to display something for other people to see or show off. Practicing is something that happens inside for your mind. We have to practice in the spirit of non-form. We walk together, we visit the city. Is there any obstacle? No. Does it mean that you have to sit in an old car in order to practice awareness of the body? No, it doesn't matter what car you sit in or what house, whether it is luxurious or not. Even if you're in the palace, you can still practice. So, dear community, this is a formless practice that is reserved for everyone, not just for monastics. All we need is 2 conditions. 1 is to have a body. 2 is to have a mind that is observing the body. Nobody lacks this unless they don't want to do it. What does it mean when we say we don't want it? It's when we allow our body to be completely obsessed with our ups and downs, our sadness, our irritation, etc. If we simply are aware of our body, then we have no issue at all. We don't need to learn Buddhism for 10, 20, 30 years to realize this. You don't need to have any special, profound wisdom. This is reserved for everybody. Buddhism doesn't discriminate that it is only for the rich, or whether it's only for the elderly, or only for male or female. Buddhism practices non-discrimination. It is there for everyone, for anyone to listen to understand, to practice. Anyone can realize holy fruits, the holy path. So we don't lack any conditions because we have a body, because we have a mind, an observing mind that observes the body. So when we go a little bit deeper, we can ask each other, what does it mean to be aware of the body? It doesn't mean we say, I'm aware of the body, I'm aware of the body. Just like when we practice our mindful breathing, we know, I'm aware of the mindful in-breath and mindful out-breath. Do we need to say that in order to practice? No. People say things like this in order to rely on a sentence in order to bring our mind back to be aware of the body, the mindful breath entering the body, the mindful breath exiting the body. But that is not a hard fixed rule. What is the main point of this issue? It is to bring the observing mind of the in-breath and the out-breath. So, mindfulness of the body in the body is that we close our eyes. Do you see your body? You see. You see. But your eyes don't see, but you close our eyes, but your mind eye sees. And that's another way of saying your awareness, which envelops your entire body. So, mindfulness of the body in the body is to be aware of your entire body with your mind. This eye is not just our regular eye, but it's the eye in our mind. I'm speaking to you, but if there is a little bug that climbs on my back, and if it makes me itchy, aren't I aware of it? Of course I'm aware of it. It's just in the same way, the eye in our mind is the same. And this envelops the entire, it envelops everything. So awareness of the body in the body. It is a practice that helps us to this and the awareness of our in-breath and out-breath. They are both wondrous. When we are able to do this, then we can look at our emotions, at our afflictions, and we can realize when we look at this, when we look at whatever that is present in us, then it will disappear. Because we have never truly embodied the basic mindful practices to enter meditation. So sure, we say we practice, but anyone can poke at us, and then we are ready to shoot or kill. Not with an actual bullet, but with our eyes or with our words. And so with that, it shows that we don't truly know how to embody the practice from a very basic practice, which is awareness of the body in the body, or our mindful breath. So no matter what happens, No matter what kind of mental formation awares in us, we are always stuck with the idea that we are the anger, we are the sadness, we are the difficult emotions. But when we learn Buddhism, even on a shallow level, we can be aware that this is sadness, this is rage, this is misery, this is suffering. All of these are just emotions, just feelings that come and go, and they have never truly stopped. There's no happiness that lasts forever, and there's also no sadness that also lasts forever. Sure, this is sadness, this is misery, suffering. Who hasn't experienced these in your lifetime? And sometimes we may be heartbroken. Maybe not the monastics so much, but I think all of our lay friends, you've all experienced being heartbroken, right? Experiencing unrequited love, right? So that is a kind of suffering that is kind of the most heaviest kind, and yet still, with time it passes, right? So when we experience being heartbroken, it's, if we say that being heartbroken is a sadness that kills us, then plenty of people would have died already, but nobody has truly died because of it, like in the same way that you would for a disease, right? So it's not very correct to say that somebody, so even if a wife or a husband passes away, they still remarry. We don't need to die. This is to say that all kinds of emotions, whether they are shallow or deep, they are all feelings that come and go. There's nothing that has ever truly lasted and that is real. So if they were real and everlasting, then we wouldn't be able to continue to smile and laugh. So in order to have true quality, the first thing we have to see is that for awareness of our body. In the body, we have to be able to be aware of our emotions. When we have the true essence of the practice, we just need to have a glance, and all of our emotions of joy, sorrow, misery, suffering, they will naturally evaporate, just like clouds that disperse in the sky. So we just need to learn one thing from Buddhism: observation of the body and the body. And then everything else, whether people slander us, humiliate us, offend us, they try to make us suffer, nothing will stick to us. And so so the Venerable Shariputra said that that is not correct, what he said. So the Buddha turned over to the monk and said, "Did you hear that?" The Venerable Shariputra said that no, he didn't do that. So please apologize to him. So the other monk who slandered Shariputra, he had to kneel down and begin anew and apologize to Venerable Shariputra, and Venerable Shariputra accepted his apology. And then they never brought it up again. They didn't say, "Oh, that monk who was jealous and who tried to defame Shariputra." No, we didn't do that. Whatever happened, it was very kind in the Buddha's time. No matter how heavy the situation was, after we addressed it, after it was resolved, then people would just let it go. So in our everyday life, when we dwell in the Dharma to practice, what we can see is that there's nothing more wondrous than the Dharma for us to exchange. This isn't just for monastics, all of our lay friends too. All of you can apply this teaching. Why? Because the two tools or instruments that you need to have to realize this peace and happiness, to be a holy saint, you already have it and you have the right to use it. What is important here is, are you willing to use it? Because you have your body, you have your observing mind. If you love your life, if you don't want others to mock you, tease you, or to control you, then you have the right to dwell in the Dharma to practice. Otherwise, our lives, maybe our entire life, we will be controlled by others. They just need to say a few words to poke at us, and then we will erupt in flames. Or if they praise us, then suddenly we will soar high into the heavens, and we're unable to, quote unquote, control ourselves. If they want us to be sad, then immediately they press our buttons and then we'll be sad. If they press our buttons to be mad, then suddenly we are mad. And then 50 years, 70 years fly by. So please apply what I have shared today in order to practice. This is the first impression that I had 10 years ago when I visited Magnolia Grove. The second impression I had that was very hard to forget. I asked Sister Hingyu when she made Thai's hut, what is the name? And Thai said it is Phước Diệu. And in English we translate it as being time, which is totally different meaning. So Diệu is when you are willing to your game, basically. And he was like, what kind of name is that for a hut? And so all of Thai's huts, no matter where, in France, in America, there's always a name for each hut. Oh, that's not the translation in Chinese, because he wrote it in both Vietnamese and Chinese. And the meaning in Chinese is the lion's den. Do you know that story? The den, the rock where there were 500 venerables who met there the first time to compile the sutras after the Buddha passed away. That is the name of that den. So it's common for lions to dwell in dens, and that's meaning where the wild animals live. So dens or caves were common for monks to practice meditation in. And we could have the same kind of spiritual strength as lions. And so sometimes a monk may be in deep meditation, and the image to describe that monk would be a lion. Mic drop. So all we need is the practice of observing our mind, our body in the body. With a glance, we can sweep away all of our sorrows and misery. If we practice like how we're doing, like half-heartedly, then sure, we may be sad for 7 days or more. But if you don't practice at all, then maybe you'll drown an entire life of misery. So for those who truly practice the Dharma, they just need to their eyes just need to glance at something and they can sweep away all of their misery and sorrow. Face. That's the practice of a great teacher. We can now, when we think about the term "diệu in Vietnamese, we're game, we dare to stand against the wind, to be the pioneer, the first ones who go against the wind, so that the ones that come after us can have an easier time. It's like, what is this in English? Cool? We are special, we are cool. from this, we can see the first thing is, if we don't have an inner strength of practice, we cannot be a courageous person going against the winds, who can be strong and courageous and even touch the skies and the moon. The essence of a monastic, if you are weak, if you are too soft, and if you are a coward, you don't dare to go forth in battle, then for sure what will happen is you cannot battle birth and death. On the most shallow level, we are born from different kinds of karmas. There's 4 kinds. And these karmas have made us into who we are today, to make us who we are today. When we become a monastic, we are not in battle with anybody else but ourselves. And if we are not solid, then we can easily be swept away by the different maras in our mind that can push us back to the unholy path. So if we are not someone who is daring and bold, then we cannot enter the profound insights and wisdom. We cannot face all of the temptations of life. The second thing is, if we don't have an inner strength of practice, then for sure what will happen is that you will get stuck in a lot of traps that people lay out for us, and we will not have a kind of freedom, an inner freedom, to help us roam about with freedom. What we often say is, what Thai often says is, "Rong chơi trời phương ngoại." What does that mean? Where the profound meaning is that we are like everybody else, but the difference is our mind has a true dwelling. Other people will dwell in their misery and be drowned in their ups and downs, in their emotions. But as practitioners, we have a dwelling, a solid dwelling, which is in the Dharma in order to practice. We dwell in wisdom, which we generate from ourselves, from inside. So we will not be pulled away, dragged away in different directions. So that is the meaning of Rong chơi trời phương ngoại. Our teacher has a few lines of poem. Do you know them? The last line is, if you don't know how to roam in the Pure Land, then a whole lifespan passes away in waste. So if a person has artistic hands and also an artistic heart, they can arrange flowers. And even though it's such a simple act, but their flower arrangement can be extremely moving. Some people can sing songs to the point where you can feel all the aches and pains, and it is very moving. But some people can sing a song and we feel nothing. So when we have the practice, that's how we can be different. Sure, this world can be filled with defilements and can be filled with evil, But if we practice, if our heart is filled with practice with the Dharma, we can look at the earth in a very different way. We can look at people in a very different way. So sure, it's the same life like this. Sure, the same ups and downs, the same afflictions. But then we will be somebody who in foreign lands, in the sense where we embark on an adventure of exploring, of leisure travel. Otherwise, wherever we go, we will always feel unsatisfied, and we will feel everybody is disagreeable. Nobody is lovable. So if we adjust this and we embody a heart of practice, we will see, wow, life is marvelous, is wondrous. Everything is so beautiful. Everyone can be worthy of respect. So no matter what situation that comes, no matter what situation we are in, we can always enjoy, whether it is the hot summer, whether it is the freezing winter. Sure, you can wear your jacket even if it's the freezing cold, but there's also a kind of joy that comes with the cold air. There are thousands of things to say about this. So if you don't know how to embark as if you're an adventure of exploration, then even 100 years as a human, it's as if we've never lived a single day of our human life. We will just float along, coast along, and then we just pass away. So, dear community, to realize the practice, we don't need to become enlightened beings. We just need to taste the Dharma, to have full confidence in the Buddha's teachings, and to really grasp onto this practice of observation of the body and the body. Sure, even if people hate you, but not because people hate or love, whether they shower you with hate or with love, that you suffer and you think, oh, people have isolated me. All we need to do is to dwell in the Dharma, to practice, to breathe each breath in the Dharma, each step made in mindfulness. There will not be any kind of misery or sorrow that can touch you. We can even declare, living in the abandoned mountains or in the freezing weather, I can still be as happy as if I was in a festival with 1,000 people. We can also declare that I can live with 1,000 people, and yet, even though it is as noisy as the marketplace, my mind is as still as if I was just practicing alone. This is not a poetic idea. This is a reality for those who truly embody the depths of the practice. Sure, all around them there's hustle and bustle, and yet it seems like they are completely unmoved, and they are dwelling in their own personal pure land, or their own personal kingdom of God, and no one can touch them, can touch their inner peace. Therefore, whether they are alone, they will feel like they're in the company of thousands of people. They don't feel lonely, and vice versa. So this is the level of attainment for our well-seasoned practitioners. So lions are the symbol of courage, of all animals revere the lions, and we use this image of the lions to illustrate how we should also embody the lion spirit in our everyday practice as well. If we know how to embody this, then when we live in life, no matter which direction we go, we will still embark on a journey of life. We will not blame, oh, I can only live in this kind of situation. We will not put out conditions in order to be happy. Person is kind and so I can be happy, or this group of people, they're so difficult, I can't live with them. Okay, I can't live here, I need to leave. This will not happen if we truly dwell in the Dharma to practice. The second thing is, when we know the practice in order to embody, then what will happen is that no matter where we go, it will be a journey, an adventure, a discovery, and we can enjoy anywhere where we go. Every place is a place for us to enjoy. This is something that we can apply very easily when we practice. For example, when we first practice, we are terrified of afflictions. We are afraid of stillness, of emptiness. No, there's no one around to talk or to gossip with. And yet, when we practice, that will not be allowed to be present in our practitioner's life. Why? Because all of our emotions, our feelings that arise in our mind, they will all have the foundation of observation of the body and the body. So we just observe things when they come and they go. And when our feelings go, whether it is being upset, we just observe it, and then naturally on its own accord, it will leave on its own. So when we practice in our everyday life, then we can accomplish this one thing, which is they can enjoy everything, including the strong emotions. How can you use the word enjoy? Because if you truly observe it, you can see it when it comes and goes. We can smile in mere recognition. We can enjoy all of the sorrows and the joys that come, even the emptiness that we feel in our mind. So, in the same way, like a tongue, everything that comes, that passes by the tongue, it will be able to know, oh, this is chili pepper, this is soy sauce, this is rice. And it has the capacity to acknowledge every taste that comes by. So in the same way, we can recognize each emotion, each feeling that comes and goes. And we will not be pulled away or swept away by these feelings. So when we practice and we enter the true Dharma to practice, and then we complain, we say, oh, I am so sad. Maybe we're practicing in the incorrect way. Oh my gosh, I was so angry that my face was purple. Oh my gosh, that lady over there, she made me feel like I can never accept her for my entire life. That is incorrect practice. Because that, if you truly practice, then you just smile with mere recognition. This is happening. That is happening. And we can be able to see both on the outside and on the inside things that are coming and going. And we see that we are not the things that are happening. We are just the observer. This is something that if we have the practice down, then we will be somebody who can walk leisurely in life. No matter how complicated life can be. But we will see, oh, I'm just taking a walk, a nature walk. No matter how many afflictions there may be, we don't need to try to achieve some Buddhahood that is very high and lofty. We can smile at our suffering. We don't need to be afraid and run away or shun it. We don't need to be aware of people pressing our buttons. We don't need to be aware of our past suffering, our misery that we have endured in the past. Otherwise, we'll be extremely tired. We have friends English speakers who come to the practice, 3 years, 5 years in the practice. Sometimes they sit in the dark corner and they practice, and I asked them, what happened? And so someone told him in the past he was hurt, and so his 5-year-old child is still in him, and it arises and it's unbearable, and so he's suffering with this. So when we talk about the wounded 5-year-old child, even if it arises in our mind, and all we need to do is to practice one thing, to just practice mere recognition. It is coming, it is going. All of our past memories that come back, everything that we have suppressed in our mind, eventually they will all diminish. With the light of mindfulness, we will be able to realize our practice, and our accomplishments become deeper, and there's no suffering that will remain in our mind to drown us in our life. Only one thing is, maybe we don't have enough full confidence in and faith in the Buddha's teachings. That's why we overlook the practice of mindful breathing, and we think it's too easy and we don't take it seriously. We have to be aware when we enter the practice and our mindfulness becomes more sharp, more deep, more thick, then we can see just with a blink of an eye, all of our afflictions also dissipate. And that person can be proud that just with a glance of an eye, even thousands of wild animals will be fearful and regard them just as they would a lion. They can be proud that just with one Dharma door, which helps us to achieve high levels, we can even touch the moon and the stars. And it's as if we have wings of an eagle. We have to practice in that way. I guess we can stop here, right? I don't need to talk too much, right? And an hour is enough.